would have thought that an overcrowded public place, a place where individuals congregated for amusement, would be the site of a crime? When daybreak came on 12th January 2022, Aisling Murphy, an absolute and beautiful primary teacher-educator, decided to go jogging, only to be greeted by an untimely death. Aisling was born on the 6th of July, 1998 in Blue Ball, near Tullamore in Ireland. Her parents were Kathleen and Raymond. Ashley was the youngest in a family of 3, with an older sister, Kathleen, and brother, Cathal. Growing up, Aisling enjoyed the luxury of being surrounded by music her whole life because her parents used to play traditional Irish music. This built an extreme passion for music among little Aisling. She would enjoy playing for the family on weekends. She developed her musical skills in school while studying in the Sacred Heart Secondary School, where she participated in the youth choir and senior orchestra. It was while she was still in school that she met her long-term boyfriend, Ryan Casey, at the age of 14. They were together for a short while before breaking up after a few months because they were too young for a serious relationship. Even both of them knew that what they had was really special and therefore decided to reestablish their love in their late teens. After high school, Aisling did her bachelor's at Mary Immaculate College. She graduated in 2021 when she was 22. Shortly thereafter, she was accepted as an elementary school teacher for the Douro National School. It is via this role that Aisling was able to utilize her musical talent and blend it with her passion for education. A selection of tunes for you. First, we're going to play a hornpipe. Aisling Murphy and her sister Amy, from a small village called Blue Ball outside Tor in the Irish Midlands, here doing something she loved to share: Irish music with others. She was one who was described as being dedicated, passionate, and diligent as an instructor, giving herself fully to the welfare of her students, and also one of the best teachers at a young age. She also found time for her fitness. She was completely into exercising and loved doing it outdoors when the weather was nice. It was on one of these very days when Aisling had decided to finish work and go out for exercise. The weather was fine with 0 precipitation, which made it a good day to jog along the Grand Canal. This was a crowded spot for leisure activities and was likely full of loads of joggers and walkers. It was not as though Aisling did not choose a bad time in the evening or an empty track to jog upon. The Grand Canal was the ideal place. The only thing is, how could such a tragic thing occur right under everybody's noses during broad daylight? It was after 2 p.m. when she departed the school and proceeded to the Grand Canal, jogging on a path called Fiona's Way, which was oddly named after missing woman Fiona Pender. She had been jogging while wearing a Fitbit, which provided an unambiguous record of her whereabouts and heart rate. She began her jog around 2:51 p.m. For approximately 20 minutes, her heart rate was regularly increasing in accordance with the type of her exercise. But at approximately 3:21 p.m. it began to exhibit abnormal fluctuations. It was during this time that 2 women saw a young girl being attacked by a man. As none of them had their phones with them, they ran into the house of a person nearby in an attempt to notify the police. When the police arrived, they found Aisling's corpse along the side of the rail track with blood all over her. First responders attempted CPR to try and revive her, but unfortunately, she was already dead. She had suffered a total of 11 stab wounds to the neck, due to which she bled and suffered a cardiac arrest causing immediate death. As per the Fitbit, it was 3:31 p.m. when her heart did not beat. The knife had cut Aisling's voice box, so she could not scream for help. She was also left with some lacerations on her hands and fingers, which indicates she struggled back against her attacker, which would have hurt the attacker. Police also found DNA under her fingernails, which would have identified her attacker, but unfortunately it didn't match anyone in the database. What this meant was that the attacker did not have to be someone who had done it before. According to eyewitness testimony, police arrested a 40-year-old man who was thought to match the attacker's description, but after questioning him for a brief time, he was ruled out as a suspect. But one of the most important pieces of information was the bike lying next to Ashling's body. According to witness testimony, a man had been seen cycling behind her, but it was clear that Aisling did not recognize him. That cycle was the same cycle that matched the recovered bike at the scene of the crime. That gave police their best lead. With this in mind, police began trawling CCTV camera footage in the neighborhood. They were searching for any indication of the man on the bicycle. After sifting through hours of video, police noticed a suspicious man on a bike in the vicinity of Tullamore in the early afternoon. The bike he was riding looked similar to the bike that was discovered at the scene of the crime. The man was dressed in a black sweatshirt and black and white trousers. At about 1 p.m., that man was spotted pursuing a woman around Tullamore. The same man was once more captured on CCTV cameras at about 8:55 p.m., riding on the same bicycle. As portrayed by him and how he was acting, the police were certain that this was the person who had attacked Aisling. But since the video was poor quality, they could not clearly see him. Shortly afterward, the police received another tip. On the 13th of January, they were told about a man who had been taken to St. James Hospital in Dublin. This man was Joseph Puska, and he was 31 years old, from Slovakia. Joseph Puska is of Roma gypsy descent and was brought up in a small Slovakian village called Lucia. At age 16, he had left school and began working on building sites. After a period of time, he traveled to the Czech Republic and eventually ended up in Dublin, Ireland, with his wife, Lucia, and children. In 2015, he had relocated to Tor and had retired from employment due to an occupational injury. At the time of the investigation, he had 5 children and lived on disability payments. Based on those who knew him, Puska was a man who was said to have been disrespectful and would frequently get involved in violent sprees. Back to the current case, Puska greatly resembled the man in the CCTV. He had a stab wound on his belly and scratches on his body. Using an interpreter, the police questioned him regarding the origin of his wounds. Puska told the police that 2 guys attacked him while he was at Blanchardstown on the 12th of January. He explained that he had visited Blanchardstown on the 11th of January, and the following day he was attacked by 2 guys. When asked why he visited Blanchardstown, he explained that he visited in order to see his parents' apartment. The police began suspecting him and doubting his narrative. A day later, the police visited him again. This time, Puska provided a different account. He explained that he had visited Blanchardstown to see a woman. Police questioned Joseph if his wife knew the reality that he was courting another woman, to which he replied, "No." Afterward, the police inquired of him if he owned a bike. Puska confirmed but explained that it got stolen about 2 weeks ago. When the police questioned him if he had notified anyone of the theft of his bicycle, he replied, "No." At this point, the police were very suspicious of him. Joseph got angry, and it was precisely now that Puska overheard his confession. He asked the interpreter to interpret for the police. Puska confessed that he had done it, that he had killed Aisling, but that he didn't do it on purpose and didn't want to do it. He apologized and said that he had never even met Aisling. He said that he used the knife, which he used to repair his bike chains, and as he walked past Aisling, he stabbed her. He said that he panicked and started stabbing her again and again. Then he directed the knife towards his stomach and continued to explain that he stabbed himself to give a cover-up story of being attacked by random men. After this, Joseph was anxious and inquired if he would be spending 10 years in prison. He was also anxious about his relatives, but the police told him that he had nothing to fear. By now, police had collected enough evidence to charge Puska. With a warrant, they searched his estate. When discharged from the hospital on January 18th, Puska was arrested immediately. The last piece of proof that sealed Puska's fate was that Puska was an exact match for the DNA under Aisling's fingernails. The trial commenced in October 2023, postponed from the initial date, June 2023. Much evidence was against Puska, such as the CCTV camera footage and the eyewitness testimony. When the trial was ongoing, police encountered another witness. This witness was Puska's friend. and was traveling along with him on the day of the event. He said that Puska knocked on his door late one evening on January 12th. Puska had been seriously hurt, had scratches all over his face, and ordered him to be taken home. When the friend asked him what was wrong with him, Puska chased him away by telling him he got into a fight, but failed to mention why or against whom. Puska declined to give more information and promised to give reasons later. The friend took him home and left. As the trial went on, police questioned the witness as to why he did not report this to the police. Puska's friend informed him that at the time, hate crimes against Romanians were becoming the norm. Thus, the friend thought Puska was a victim of a hate crime. This gave the court more incriminating evidence against Joseph Puska. It looked like the case had finally been solved, but soon came another twist. Joseph Puska recanted. This time, he lied. He attempted to give himself a good image by saying that he had attempted to assist Aisling but was a victim of the same guy who killed her. He tore up his earlier confession, saying that he was recovering in the hospital where he was administered morphine after the surgery. He was also given oxycodone, due to which he was not in a correct state of mind. Puska testified that he was under compulsion and perverted the facts of the crime. But the jury did not accept his evidence because the entire case was against him. After deliberation of 3 hours, the jury pronounced the final verdict as guilty, and he was sentenced to life imprisonment. Joseph's wife and 2 brothers were also indicted for concealing information about the murder, and the sad case of Aisling Murphy was ultimately laid to rest. Aisling was a stunning, bright, and very driven young woman who had so many lovely qualities and characteristics of the Irish people and country. After her death, there were numerous vigils held in tribute to a young woman who had her entire life before her. Many of her students went to pay their respects at the funeral of their beloved teacher, dressed in their school uniforms. They're far too young for this, to bid farewell to their teacher. The funeral was also visited by the President of Ireland. A park bench was dedicated to her memory on the Grand Canal, where she was killed. Aisling's tragic death will live on with the thousands of women who lost their lives because of violent crimes.